All right. So today I am going to talk about this topic. Somebody messaged me. Oh, I think I'm live now. So somebody messaged me yesterday and they said that their biggest concern in the workplace is that they feel they might be more knowledgeable. I should just say uh, that she's more knowledgeable than her peers and she knows more, she's more qualified, but she feels that it's better for her to silence herself so that she won't step on anyone's toes or not make them feel bad. This is a very common problem. Here's the thing, most of us are overqualified for the jobs we take on. We just don't know how to leverage ourselves, how to negotiate, how to ask for what we deserve. So we accept the salary that is offered, we take the title that is offered. In fact, we apply for much lower titles, much lower positions than we actually should. So it's no surprise that you feel that you are more qualified, you're more knowledgeable. So let's dive into how to deal with this and how to keep shining our light brightly. I'm Dr. Mrinalini Garg. I am an executive presence and confidence building coach for South Asian women. I help them how to use their voice effectively and influence and make an impact that their heart deserves and be seen as a leader. I want to make this very clear because this is a very fine balance and a tricky situation that most of us are in. So, you know, you have more qualifications than your peers, you know, you have more expertise. The only difference is that you probably have a lot of experience in your home country. So, when you come here, you feel that, and you're made to feel as well, right? The experience that you have in your home country is inferior than what you would get in the Western country. So and then the second thing is the language, right? English is not our first language. So that combination of feeling that my education and my experience, work experience, is not good enough compared to the Western country. That's one factor. The other factor, that English is not our second language. When these two together come, they come together, these two come together, we start with feeling inferior. We have an inferiority complex, which is why we do not apply for the positions that we truly deserve. And of course, there's a visa challenge as well. So, to get started, we start at a much lower rung. So, the challenge that most women have is that they have a lot of experience, but they're starting at a much lower level. Now, here's the thing, once they are in, when they have their foot in the Western um, corporate culture, or in they get their first job, it takes a long time for them to rise in the career. Now, granted, there are differences how things are done back in the home country and how they are done here. But the most important thing that you need to know is that knowledge is still superior. Nobody can take that away from you, and nobody can make you feel that you are inferior. And as it is, nobody can make us feel anything for that matter. But it's our own mindset where we are at. So, like I mentioned, we start feeling inferior because our work experience or education is considered inferior. And then we feel because English is not our first language, we are lacking something. If you have heard me before, I always say that it's not your vocabulary, it's not your accent that is really needed. It's how you connect with people is the most important thing, and how quickly you make decisions. That's key in being seen as a leader. Um, so accept that you do know more. I mean, if you know more, if you are highly qualified, if you're more qualified than your peers, just accept that, right? So you are dealing with your own fear of being seen as inferior, of not making mistakes, of not stepping on people's toes. And on the other hand, your peers, they have their own insecurities of, oh, she knows a lot more. Oh, I feel my position is not secure. Oh, if I let her go ahead, then she might um, go ahead of me, get ahead of me. So these are two insecure parties trying to figure out how to find that balance. But in maintaining that balance, in you know you as a woman trying to make sure that you don't hurt your boss's feelings or the leader's feelings, you start playing small. You start playing dumb so that this person can feel better. So you stoke their ego and pull yourself down. So if you have a better idea, you don't share, and this person is getting the spotlight. Or, this person can actually take your idea and present it as their own and show how amazing they are at and not give you any credit. And you don't speak up and take back the spotlight on you. So you're basically pulling yourself down. You are, letting this person take the spotlight on them, and then you keep wondering, why this is happening to me. So how do you solve this problem? First, we need to understand what the problem is. Number one problem in this situation is that you are making assumption that the other person is insecure. Maybe they are, but how do you know for sure? The second problem is you are operating assuming that that assumption is correct. So you don't know whether that assumption is correct. So all your actions or inaction is defined based on the assumption. And number three, you are dimming your light based on that assumption. All three things are a sure shot recipe for career stagnation. So how do we solve that problem? Because if you are smart, if you are brilliant, if you're highly qualified, you want to basically tell people, the value that you bring to the table, how important you are for this company, for the team. So you do need to speak up. Know that you cannot change this person. We have no control over how the other person is going to react. So logically, it just does not make sense to play small. Do you see it? And those who are watching live, if anything resonates, type 1. uh, and those who will be watching replay, uh, type 1. When I ask a question or if something resonates, just type 1, because I want to see this actually is making sense for all of you. And please type any questions in the chat. I can either answer them right away, or I will answer them after I finish this training. So logically, it just does not make sense to make adjustments based on assumptions. So we have to own that up. Nobody asked us to play small, but we make that decision ourselves because we have assumed that the other person is insecure. So, how to solve that problem? Now, this is very situation based, right? But I will give you a few examples and how you can practically address that if you are dealing with this in your workplace right now. So, start thinking about in what situations have you felt that this person is insecure. So some of the behaviors can be passive aggression, right? You share an idea in the meeting and they cut you off, right? Or they will only half praise you or make a snide remark while you are speaking. That could be one example. The boss, when you go to him or her for your annual evaluation, they don't give you any specific insights or feedback on what exactly you need to change so that you can get promoted. Leaders, they probably have never seen you because you're not vocal, you're not shining your light. So they start making assumptions that you either don't want to speak up or you don't have any ideas or you are in agreement. So they start perceiving you as meek and not as leadership material. So we have to take ownership in this situation, right? The very first thing is we want to ask, if somebody criticizes me in the meetings, do I actually stand up for myself? Do I actually ask clarifying questions before we jump to any conclusions? So, an example would be, let's say, you are sharing an idea and you talk about an amazing solution for how to reduce the turnaround time for a certain process, right? And a peer in the meeting actually calls out and says that that's that seems great theoretically, but I don't think it can happen, right? And you can see the change in their expression, right? And that can be very scary when we look at them and we are not feeling great. We already have inferiority complex, and then somebody says it in a certain manner. We look at their facial expressions and that terrorizes us. So in that moment, you need to take a deep breath and basically just say what happened. Let's say the person's name is John. John, I think you are just shooting down my idea without really understanding how I am planning to approach it. Being very direct and letting them tell you exactly what is the problem. Now, if they are just being passive aggressive and if they just want to steal your spotlight, they will not have a clear explanation. But they might actually have a great idea because they might have worked on it on the past and they have a really good reason to say that. And then you can say that, that's a great insight. Although I felt that, you were just trying to shoot my idea down. So this background actually helps. In the second scenario, when you go to your boss and during the annual evaluation, they say that, yeah, keep doing everything that you're doing. But, sorry, my hands are tied and I really can't do anything about it. And in your heart that just does not seem right, because if you're being so productive, if you are delivering all the results on time, maybe crashing timelines, then it just does not make sense that you're not getting promoted, right? So in that conversation, you need to really understand if the boss is really invested in you. Now, what happens most of the times, we go into annual evaluations with the expectation, right? We complete the evaluation form and we rate ourselves, 4, 4.5, and we know in some cases we are even 5, but we mark ourselves down. But we don't go in with, the right kind of preparation. How do you defend yourself? If you say 5, how do you defend yourself? How do you advocate for yourself? How do you disagree with your boss? So we go with the expectation that yes, the annual evaluation conversation is just going to turn out in my favor. I will get promoted, I will get that kind of a raise, and we are not prepared for the no. So, knowing how to deal with the no. Now, in this case, also, this is the most important part. If you have decided that, right now you don't want to make any change in your career, then just accept the situation, right? And say that I'm gonna stay here. But even in that case, you want to negotiate the maximum possible that you can for yourself. But also keep in mind that that might not happen. But the most important thing during these conversations is that you need to figure out whether it's worth staying in this company or you have better chances outside. But leaving the job might not be an option for you right now, but this is what you need to find out from your job. So if they say that, oh, my hands are really tied, or HR said no, or there's no budget, and they give these reasons because you can't challenge it, right? You're not going to go to HR and ask them, did you really tell my boss that this is not going to happen? We don't do that, right? So bosses give these reasons because they work and nobody challenges them. But a good boss will not give such reasons. They will actually give you the things that you need to work on. They will also support you so that you can have that growth. Great bosses also tell you, you are wasting your potential here in this company. Go find a better job somewhere else, and I will give you an amazing recommendation. Because great bosses know that the best talent do not take up a job to stay stuck in that job. So basically, in the annual evaluation, you're trying to figure out whether my boss is on board or not. Now, what you do with that information is up to you. You can still decide to stay, or you'll decide that, oh yeah, I get it, there's no scope here. Now on the side though, just because one person in the company is not in favor of your growth does not mean that you should just leave the job. This is where networking with leaders comes handy. I have done a full masterclass on that. I will drop the link to that in the comments here. But you need to have these side doors open where the leaders actually know you, which brings us to the third point, right? That leaders have no idea who you are. You don't open your mouth, you don't advocate for yourself, you don't share your ideas. So they have started making assumptions about you, that you are probably unambitious. You probably just like to work on whatever is asked of you, and you are not interested in becoming a leader. So if they have that assumption, it basically means that they don't know you. And it is not their job to come to you and ask about you. It is your job to go to them and build that relationship and have those connections where they know exactly what you do. They see the value that you bring to the table. They know you as a person and they connect with you. And this connection is more than just, oh yeah, I like Indian food, and I really like chicken tikka masala. The connection has to be more than that, where they truly see the expertise that you bring to the table, how you can help the company get to that next level. So it is very easy for us to say that, oh, I might be intimidating them. Well, are you though? And when it comes to career, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to life, these are the hard questions we need to answer. See, the companies are there for profit. They are there to increase their bottom line. They are not there to look after you. Like, they are not. And this is the reality that we need to accept. Whether you are working for big, giant companies or whether you are working for small companies, the company's job, the purpose of any business is to create a new customer, which means increase sales, right? Make more profit. So they are invested in that. Now, if you just come in and put your head down and do your work, but you're not able to make that connection between how your work ties to the bottom line, you don't know how your work impacts the various metrics, the leader is not going to know what exactly you do. If you are in the tech world, the technical terms might be too much for that leader, and they would rather not talk with you because they feel foolish because they don't understand half of the tech talk that you do. So you want to be able to connect with them at a human level so that you can basically help them understand how you are the best candidate for the next role that might open up, or the boss might, the leader might be inspired to open a new position for you. So as the company is thinking of its own bottom line, you are responsible for your bottom line. So you need to learn how to advocate for yourself, how to project your value, how to negotiate, how to take the spotlight back on you if somebody tries to steal the spotlight from you. This is really on you. And when they say don't work hard, work smart, this is the smart part of the work that you need to do. And because we have never been taught, we have not been trained in reading the room, especially in the Western corporate culture. What are they exactly looking for? How do you really connect with them and communicate with them so that they understand you? Nobody has taught us. This is where coaching comes into picture. I spent years, I stumbled over and over trying to figure out how to do it because I didn't have a coach to tell me how to manage my career. And this is the reason I decided to become a career coach. So it's not that you cannot do all these things on your own, but it is overwhelming. You Google leadership and you have, I don't know, 100 million hits or whatnot. You Google executive presence or communication skills, another 150 million hits. How will you find out of those search results what applies to you? So when I work with my clients, we work one on one. And when we do a lot of role plays in a group setting, so that when you go to the meeting, you feel completely prepared. So, coaching is something every single professional should get help, because executives have a coach. And if you are in the process, if you are ambitious and if you want to get to that next level, why not start early on and get the help you need so you can accelerate your career? So, let me summarize. This feeling of being intimidating to others or knowing more than others, this is true. Accept the fact that you are more qualified, you know a lot more, but you play small because of the inferiority complex that has been created in our mind because of the perception that the work that you have done in the home country, the education in the home country, is not as great. And then English not being your second language is another thing that makes us feel that we are less. But as long as people can understand your English is not a problem. It's the connection, the problem. Also, how do we address that? First, become aware that you might be actually operating from a place of assumption. Then you're making decisions based on assumptions. And then you're responding or reacting based on the assumptions or conclusions that you have made from the assumptions. And I described three different scenarios where you might feel that you are being played or other people are insecure. I would love to hear from you other situations where you have felt that others are feeling insecure in front of you. So please type in the comments. I would love to read those. And if you are ready to claim your voice, shine your light, and rise to the next level as quickly as possible, then schedule a call with me. It's a free call. Go to www.unshackledcareerwomen.com/call. Let's hop on a call. Let's see what the leadership gap is. And I want to make sure, I want to be 100% certain that I can help you bridge that gap. And if that's the case, we will get you started and we will transform your career. You will completely transform how you use your voice, and all the trepidation that you feel, the hesitation that you feel about speaking up and shining your light, it will go away. And you will unlock the career satisfaction that you have never felt before. Again, the link is www.unshackledcareerwoman.com/call. Let's connect.